This is the History of New Zealand podcast on the Eat to My Own Beat podcast network.
Imagine walking into your local pub and finding women singing hymns at the door, praying for your soul. Today, we're diving into New Zealand's fascinating temperance movement, a crusade that nearly turned the entire country dry, transformed women's rights, and still echoes in modern policy. You're about to discover how a glass of what Maori called stinking water sparked a revolution that changed a nation.
And what a revolution it was. The temperance movement in New Zealand wasn't just about banning alcohol, it was about reimagining society itself.
Let's start at the beginning. When did this all kick off?
Well, the first recorded temperance meeting was held in 1834 in the Bay of Islands, led by Methodist mission staff at Mangungu on the Hokianga River.
That's pretty early in New Zealand's colonial history, right?
Exactly. And you know what's fascinating? The Maori initially had no tradition of alcohol use. They called it waipiro, literally meaning stinking water. They were not impressed.
Stinking water, that's quite the review. But I'm guessing things changed.
Unfortunately, yes. By the 1850s, more Maori were drinking, leading to measures specifically restricting alcohol in Maori areas.
What was driving all this concern about alcohol?
There was a dark saying in colonial New Zealand that the main causes of death were drink, drowning, and drowning while drunk.
That's pretty grim.
It was. Alcohol abuse was particularly visible among itinerant workers, the men who worked in agriculture, maritime trades, and industrial frontiers.
So how did people fight back against this?
The movement really gained momentum in the 1880s. In 1886, they established the New Zealand Alliance, a national organization that united local temperance groups.
And this is where it gets really interesting, right? Because it wasn't just about alcohol anymore.
Exactly. In 1885, the Women's Christian Temperance Union was established, and it became New Zealand's first national women's organization.
Wait, so the temperance movement was connected to women's rights?
Absolutely. Women were seen as the ones most affected by alcohol abuse, since they were largely dependent on men for money to sustain their homes and families.
How did they actually try to create change?
They had quite creative tactics. Some women would actually stand at hotel doors, singing and praying until the husband stopped coming.
That must have been quite a sight.
It was, but they also worked through legal channels. The Licensing Act of 1881 let each electoral district elect its own licensing committee.
And what could these committees do?
They had the power to refuse liquor licenses, effectively making their district dry. It was tested in 1889 when Sydenham in Christchurch voted in a temperance-friendly committee.
Did they succeed in making any areas completely dry?
Yes. In 1908, Masterton voted itself dry. All 15 pubs had to close by July 1909.
15 pubs, just gone like that?
Exactly. And they came close to achieving this nationally. In 1919, New Zealand actually voted for prohibition.
But we know that didn't happen. What changed?
The soldiers' votes from World War I hadn't been counted yet. When they were included, prohibition lost by a tiny margin.
That must have been devastating for the temperance supporters.
It was, but they didn't give up. In 1918, they presented Parliament with a petition containing more than 240,000 signatures demanding an end to alcohol sales.
That's an enormous number for the time.
And their influence led to some significant restrictions. From 1917, pubs had to close at 6 p.m.
6 o'clock closing. How long did that last?
Would you believe it lasted 50 years? It wasn't changed until 1967.
That's incredible. What happened when people only had an hour after work to drink?
It created what became known as the 6 o'clock swill. Men would rush to drink as much as possible before closing time.
So the restriction actually led to more binge drinking?
Exactly, a classic case of unintended consequences.
What about the Women's Christian Temperance Union? Are they still around?
They are. In fact, they're the oldest continuously active national organization of women in New Zealand.
What do they focus on today?
Their mission statement is to reduce health and social problems by promoting a lifestyle free of alcohol and other drugs.
And is alcohol still a significant issue in New Zealand?
According to recent data, alcohol causes approximately 900 deaths, 1,250 cancers, and 30,000 hospitalizations per year in New Zealand.
Those are sobering statistics.
And it costs the country about $9.1 billion annually in social and economic costs.
That's a massive impact. Has this led to any modern temperance efforts?
Well, recent polling shows that most New Zealanders support stronger measures around alcohol availability, affordability, and advertising.
So the spirit of the temperance movement lives on?
In a way, yes, but with a more moderate approach. It's less about total prohibition and more about harm reduction.
Although some churches have gone in the opposite direction, right?
Yes, interestingly, some churches now use alcohol as an evangelization tool. Wine and theology evenings and beer and barbecue church services.
That would have shocked those early temperance campaigners.
Absolutely. But it shows how attitudes have evolved over time.
What lessons can we learn from the temperance movement today?
I think it shows how social movements can create lasting change, even if they don't achieve their ultimate goal.
And it wasn't just about alcohol, was it?
No, it became a vehicle for broader social reform, particularly women's rights. The WCTU played a crucial role in New Zealand becoming the first country to give women the vote.
So in trying to ban the stinking water, they ended up changing the country in ways they might not have expected.
Exactly. Sometimes the journey to one goal leads to even more significant achievements in other areas.
What about Maori communities today?
Sadly, Maori face disproportionate harm from alcohol. They're twice as likely to die from alcohol-related causes than non-Maori.
So the concerns that led to those early restrictions in Maori areas are still relevant?
Unfortunately, yes. It's one of the ongoing challenges in addressing alcohol harm in New Zealand.
As we wrap up, what would those early temperance campaigners think of New Zealand today?
They'd probably be disappointed that alcohol is still so prevalent, but proud of the broader social changes they helped create.
And their legacy continues through organizations still fighting for better alcohol policies.
Yes, though the methods have changed, the core concern remains: how to balance personal freedom with public health and social welfare.
Thank you for listening to the History of New Zealand podcast. We're found on YouTube and anywhere else you could find your normal podcasts. Please like, comment, and subscribe, or find us at www.eattomyownbeat.com.